stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our sick, handicapped military personnel recently departed of our community. Thank you. I have a roll call, please.
Mr. Verducci?
Here.
Mr. Gallarducci?
Here.
Ms. Cimaroli? Here. Mr. Ferry?
Here.
Mr. Franchik?
Here.
Mr. Henderson?
Here.
Mr. Sarasnik? Here. Mayor Copeland?
Here.
Solicitor McDermott? Here. Engineer Lennon?
Here.
Sergeant James?
Here.
Chief Castaigne? And Chief Miller?
Here. Thank you. I needed to announce the Borough Council met in an executive session prior to the start of the meeting to discuss legal and personnel matters, and also on May 6th and 7th to discuss personnel items. Do we have anybody who wants to speak? No. Thank you. Just one, Dawn.
Yeah. You ready?
We're ready, Dawn.
Listen. You guys come up my street the other day. Yeah. You come on my street the other day and you chipped my branches. And you left a mess out in the middle of the street. I had to go up there myself and clean it up. After just a couple weeks ago, coming out here and picking up this garbage out here with that crew on that weekend. We try to keep our street tight. And I called you, Joe, and you said if you had to clean up after every time you chip wood, you'd never get done. That's what you told me. You know, I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but for one thing, leaving debris on the road is against the law. You're not allowed to leave your grass clippings or nothing like that on the road. So when people see your own borough dirtying the road, they're not going to pick up their grass clippings or not. I call it the broken glass, something like that. I forget what I call it. But anyways, the point is, you got an old abandoned house and somebody breaks one window, then somebody else is going to break another one and another one. So you have your own borough going up there, and I was wondering when I drive around Bridgeville, I see these areas with the wood chips on the road, and it's you guys. Why? Cleaning up isn't after the job. Cleaning up is part of the job. I've seen multi-million-dollar jobs shut down for poor housekeeping. Now you got two young buds out there, and they can't have a leaf blower or a broom. It took me about 2 minutes to clean that up. So it shouldn't have taken them more than 20. So you guys have a charge. You're responsible for keeping the people in this town safe. Agreed, right? Nobody says nothing. You're responsible for keeping the people in this town safe. And when your own borough is breaking the law, what about the people that come down my street with the baby carriages or little kids on the scooters or learning to ride a bike or the motorcycle people? Why don't you clean up after yourself?
Mr. President, I apologize. We had a disaster that hit our borough last week. Every single street in town, no exaggeration, had trees down, roof damage, excessive property damage, widespread in the entire community. I feel bad that we left some wood chips on your street.
They weren't just, wait a second, wait,
Hold on, it's his turn.
That's a,
Hold on.
no disrespect to the level, but it's a free service that's unique to Bridgeville that we offer. No other community around us offers curb service to pick up brush trimmings 2 times a year. No one does. And what we were faced with and got cleaned up within a matter of a week for a very small crew, I disagree with you. I apologize that we had some wood chips go over in front of your house. We'll do better to adjust that next time, so I apologize. But for what we were faced with, I'm very proud of the staff, what we had and what we cleaned up with and how we mitigated essentially a very severe storm that impacted all of western Pennsylvania. So, not to discredit, if Mr. Polish, if this is my only complaint I got out of that disaster, that's a job well done. And I'll do better next time.
It wasn't just wood chips, it was branches. and it only took me a couple minutes. You mean to say you can't take a couple minutes and finish the job doing right? I mean, I'd be embarrassed to do work
Don,
like
he
that.
had the response.
I agree with you, we'll do better next time.
He had the response for you.
Okay, well, I don't get to speak again, no.
No, well, we're just addressing that issue.
Okay, so what are we gonna do about the debris on the road? I mean,
He just addressed it. He'll do better next time.
yeah, do better next time.
For all the work he does, I don't
know whether, we're
This
talking about,
warrants it to be
we're just talking,
honest.
well, we're talking about one thing here. We're talking about the branches in front of my house. Well, when I called him, all he said was, whatever, I get it, I know what goes on down here, I get it, but yeah, do better.
Hey, Dawn, I'm in charge of the Public Works Committee, and,
Yeah.
with the storm that was, widespread, that's, a lot of people were on fire for, 2 or 3 days, some 4, and I spent that weekend for an hour cleaning up branches on part of James Street, part of Warner, and the alley behind. So,
Oh, this is after the storm, though.
exactly.
I think the branches
This
too,
is
everybody
just
did.
3 days later after the storm.
Yeah.
The branches were everywhere, and I had to continue to, I tried to clean up, I put 2 55-gallon trash bags that I paid for and cleaned up myself and put it for the trash, and they took it on Friday. So, I did my share, and unfortunately, this thing was unprecedented. And I think that the Public Works did a phenomenal job, considering, some residents that had fire, and they tried doing the best they could with the staff we have, and that's it. If we didn't do up to your expectation, I have to apologize also.
Okay, since you're in charge, how about making sure they wear their PPE too, all right? I mean, you shouldn't be out there without safety glasses chipping wood.
But they all have safety glasses, I know for a fact. I know they have safety gloves, so.
We'll make them wear them. Because without accountability, there's no leadership. You understand what I'm saying? They're gonna get away with, like the kid, whatever they can get away with, they're gonna get away with. So, you don't clean the road up, so you move to the next one, you leave a little bit more branches, and you just keep going like that. It would only taken them a minute to show a little class. I'd be embarrassed to do work like this. I don't care what anybody says. I'd be embarrassed. Now, what would a minute or
We
two?
get the point. You've repeated yourself 4 times now. We get the point. He's responded. Do you have anything else besides the chips on the road?
No, I like the bump outs, and I'm not sure about the steps going down there. You should put a butt collector over at this park over here, this little triangle park, because, cracked the broken windows in there. People see people throwing butts in the grass or in the mulch. They keep doing it. I went over and I picked up tons of them things, on cleanup. So why can't you do stuff like that? Why can't nobody see that? I don't understand.
Okay. Duly noted.
All right, that's all I got. I'll stop.
Thank you.
I'll stop down next month.
Okay.
What? I didn't hear you.
I said, let the steam out.
This is nothing. Yeah.
Okay, do you have something?
I do.
Can you state your name and your
Yep,
address?
Carrie Reynolds, I'm at 664 Chestnut Street, resident here for 50 years. So, love this town. I hate speaking out here, I don't want to bitch. I think the borough did a great job cleaning up. I appreciate the work. What I want to discuss is, obviously, I'm on Chestnut, which is Bank and Chartiers, both state roads. So there's been some back and forth with the borough and the state, with PennDOT, on who is to maintain certain areas. Specifically Chestnut, where the tree fell down, and there was a post on Facebook, and I hope whoever was here, is here, that commented on there. And it was like it's a public forum discussion, right? Everybody can talk. And I was shocked at the way that some of our residents responded. It was ugly, and I was embarrassed. And so I'm just down here, I just want some answers. I know you might not have them right now, but who does maintain that? The state's telling me it's the borough, because they're curb to curb. I talked to, what's his name? Nate Bomasi. said they're curb to curb, the borough is supposed to take care of the rest. And then as the speed limits, like, I don't know what we're gonna do, but we're gonna have to do something about Bank and Chartiers. They're flying on those roads. I mean, and I know, like, I was told by, King that the issue coming down Bank is it's 35 to 25. And you have 500 feet, correct me if I'm wrong, for them to slow down before you can enforce or stop them. And we marked 2 lines on Bank, which is where I think you guys are allowed to radar or ticket. Okay, so let's just do that a couple times. I don't know if anybody remembers, but Heidelberg, driving down through there, they used to stop everybody. Well, guess what? It deterred people from speeding down that road. I'm not asking you to sit there. I know you're busy. I know you have lots to do. I'm not asking you to sit there all the time, but a couple tickets, and then maybe people will go, oh, Bridgeville started ticketing people. We better slow down driving through there. They're cruising through here, and then they're firing down like Chestnut if, you know, Bank gets backed up. Then they're firing down to get to Chartiers, and it's super dangerous. So, and I know there's gonna be some issues that we need to, like, figure out just who is supposed to do, like, is state police supposed to come in there? Can we do that there? Because the state's basically telling me it's a free-for-all. Because there's not really, like, the borough doesn't wanna do it, and they're not gonna do it. So, that's kind of a scary thought. That word gets out, they're gonna drive even faster. So, I guess what I'm here, and I just wanna know, the maintenance on the roadways there. I really like that, going up Chartiers, there's, trees that are blocking the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit that can be cut back, so people can say, I can see the speed limit, just trim those down. And, you know, I do know that with that remediation is gonna happen. Is that happening for Chartier Street? Because then I think that will take care of that area. I believe that you guys are trying to put a sidewalk up there. Okay, yeah, so that will probably take care of some of that vegetation and stuff, but I guess those are my questions on who is responsible for
When
it.
you're talking about the maintenance, what are you referring to?
Well, I just think that there's the hemlock grows up on Chartiers, then you can't see the speed limit signs. So I just would appreciate it if that was kind of maintained a little bit more, and those trees do bother me, like they're dangerous, and we have been asking for a while about those. But like I said, it gets told, that's the state property, that's the borough, they tell me that's the borough property, and it just dances back and forth, and I understand that. I just wanted somebody to tell me what the truth is.
You want to address that one?
Speed limit signs on those roads are state roads under 40 miles per hour, or borough's responsibility to maintain the speed limit signs. So I was unaware of it, we'll get that addressed, I'll have that done this week regarding.
No, the speed limit signs are fine.
You just said they're blocked.
Oh,
I'll have
30
that
is, yes,
addressed.
yep,
I'll have that addressed.
okay.
And then regarding tree maintenance, they're not municipal trees. They are state roads. The borough does have an ordinance on trees within, they default back to the property owner. So essentially, if it's a dangerous tree, the borough can place the onus on that property owner to have that done. But a lot of that is gonna be taken care of within that PennDOT project that was supposed to be done this year, and then that keeps getting kicked every time we talk.
That isn't her property.
We're talking about a paper street that,
No, we're not talking about the paper street. We're talking
it's
about,
a half and half of what used to be a road.
no, I'm not talking about the paper street alley behind the property. I'm talking about Chartier Street.
And I've explained it. Like I said, the borough doesn't have trees on it. They are essentially those people's properties.
But that's not, her property is marked, that's not her property.
Just like the sidewalk in front of my house is my property. The grass the last 3 feet behind the curb is not my property, but it's my responsibility.
So can she tell the borough that she doesn't want the sidewalk going up there then? If that's her property?
I'm not. I don't believe so now. I'm just being straight shooter.
I know, but it's an easement, I get it, but there's still vegetation on it, so then that's what I'm talking about. So is there an amendment then you're saying that that's her property, so she has to maintain it, but when you want it, you can have it? Without paying her for a space?
That's a
kind of-
state
It's a state property.
taking that easement.
Right, but,
It does get very confusing with a state road.
so
within a
if
road.
a tree falls on someone and kills them coming down there, who's responsible?
Property owner. It's not a borough tree.
It's not her property. So she has to
And it's
pay all
not the
thousands of dollars to
borough's
get those cut down?
It's not the borough's responsibility, man, no.
What is that written on? What code is that? What law is
I'd
that
be more than
following?
happy to meet with you after the meeting.
Okay, yeah, because I would like the laws.
We
I
can-
really
we've-
would.
Yeah, we've talked many times on the phone, so we can call and we can figure something out, and we'd be more than happy to help you, but I don't think the borough's in a position to go in there and take out all the trees up and down Chartier
Okay.
Street.
So what
We've
about?
never done that.
Okay, so then about the speed, any suggestions?
That's us. I'll do some, have the officers out doing targeted enforcement in the area, effective tomorrow.
Great, that'd be great. Thank you. Thanks for
Speed
your
sign
time.
there,
What's that?
speed sign,
Yeah, we were just getting ready to move it onto Presley, but we can move it up onto Chartiers. Last time we put it up there, though, it only lasted about a week because the solar panel wasn't getting enough sun with all the trees. So,
Trees, trees. Can we, also, one more thing, why is it 35, there's an area on Bank, it's 35 and then 25. What's the speed limit between those two signs?
there's no sign on there that says that it's a reduced speed zone ahead. So when the first sign shows up, it says 25 miles an hour, you have 500 feet after that we can begin enforcing.
Okay, so in between there, it's 25
It's-
going up or coming down.
It's 35 miles an
going up.
hour up until 500 feet past the first 25 mile an hour sign.
Right, but what I'm saying is it says 25 coming down here, and then it says 35 going up there. So there's a space of road that is really not a
You're saying
specific speed
where,
limit.
where it has its 25 going, say, westbound
Yeah.
and 35 going eastbound?
Yeah,
It's what the speed limit says, the sign says. So one way it's 35, the other way it's 25.
okay, that's interesting.
No, it doesn't make any sense, and
Yeah.
no, they haven't changed it.
Yeah, okay.
You can state your name and your address.
Denise Flaherty, and business address is 608 Washington Ave. 5017.
Okay, go ahead.
So, we're here at the Crappy Jack Globe. We are here to request an exemption to the loudspeaker statute.
Do you wanna,
Elaborate a little
Yeah.
bit? Absolutely. So we're asking for the borough to make any noise complaints subject to the borough's noise regulations and not the LCD loudspeaker statute. Currently, the LCD, the way that that is set up is everywhere except for Allegheny and Philadelphia counties is subject to a 75 decibel to the property perimeter. Allegheny is subject to a 65 decibel at the property perimeter, which again, Bridgeville and the state both have the 65 decibel levels, or Allegheny County, I should say. But what we're asking for is for the borough to submit an exemption for that, so we would be subject to, rather than the LCD or the LCE coming in, if we were to violate the noise regulations, if we were to violate that, we are asking for the borough to handle it as opposed to the LCD.
okay. We will have to take this into consideration for next month's agenda.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a question.
You
How
have-
often does the how often is the 65 decibel violation?
We have a decibel meter at the very front of the restaurant. Generally, we're not violating that 65. When cars are going by, we pick up that noise. But we generally are 65 or under.
Thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
Anybody else have any questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? We have somebody from Mark Turnley's office to make a presentation.
I'm gonna stand over here.
Sure.
Is that correct? So I'll stand. Back. I'm not going to take a long time, because a lot of you here, you probably know go through the entire audit report. I am here to talk about the 2024 audit of the Borough of Bridgewater, or Bridgeville rather. We also have Bridgewater in Beaver County. My name is Kim Turnley. I'm part of the staff. Now our new firm name is Turnley Robertson and Associates. I'm actually Mark's wife. You probably had Mark here multiple times. He wasn't able to come tonight, so I'm taking his place tonight. Thank you firstly to Joe for all his help with the audit process. We have to come in and do a lot of testing and a lot of requests of Joe and staff for information that we need to finish the audit, and Joe's always been very helpful and timely with this information, so we're able to get the job done in a timely manner. And DCD's already been filed. Most of you probably know that already, and you had this report in your hands to take a look at as well. I also had two letters that came along with the report. One of them is a management letter, and one of them is what we call a SAS 114 letter. The management letter, most of our management letters have a lot of analysis in them, and then there's a few internal control suggestions we make with all of our municipalities. There were no internal control issues that we found during the audit process to bring to the board's attention. The comments that we make with every municipality. They have to do with segregation of duties for your real estate collector. Because of your real estate collector, as everybody is in the state, there are elected officials and not part of the staff. So the control that you have over your real estate tax collector is not the same as employees. So we recommend that every municipality do thoroughly check reporting and all of the deposits routinely to make sure that they don't see anything that's unusual. So we always put that in our audit reports. The other thing on segregation of duties is just the fact that you have a small borough, and that sometimes all of the controls that may be something that would be a good practice can't be accomplished because you're small. So this is just nothing that we found that's inconsistent, no problems at all. I just want to be make myself clear on that. But just that the board should do their due diligence and make sure that you're reviewing either checks, invoices, reports that Joe presents, those sort of things, and be part of the process of reviewing the financial picture of the borough. That's basically what that statement says. So I'm just going to do a quick review of how you ended the year, and then I'll be out of your hair. So I'm going to really read from this letter for a couple minutes here. If you guys have this letter in front of you, the management letter, the first page shows a general fund balance analysis. So for you guys, we've been doing your audit for the last 4 years, so it shows the last 4 years of general fund balance. And you can see, if you look down, you'll notice that a couple of these years, your fund balance has decreased, and a few years, the fund balance has increased. But the important thing to note there is if you look at the last column on that spreadsheet, you'll notice that there's been transfers to your capital project fund every one of those years. And those transfers, they come into play when you talk about whether you're taking money out of the general fund balance. So it's not necessarily that the general fund lost monies rather. In other words, your expenses were over. Your regular expenses were not in all these cases. You just chose to transfer money from one fund to another. In the case of 2024, you transferred $393,000 over your capital project fund. And that fund is used, as all of the board knows, and some residents you may know as well, for capital projects within the borough. It could be anything. It could be any of the departments. It could be the general government, this building. It could be police. It could be public works. So you have taken the stand that every year you're going to transfer some of your earnings over so that you can do some of these projects that you have. It could even be your street paving, those sort of things as well. So just so you're aware that those transfers are part of the expenditures, really, the total expenditures, but the money's being maintained within the borough. So that's all I wanted to really say about that. I'm going to just point you in the direction of the report itself real quick.
Kim, just those funds that are being transferred, a lot of times that's watching expenses, making sure
Correct.
they're very frugal and handling things the right way.
And most times in the case of your municipality, you're watching the expenses from the general fund side, so you're able to have extra funds to transfer over to the capital project fund. I have a lot of municipalities that don't have that opportunity to be able to use some of their revenues to transfer to capital projects. They're either not doing any capital projects at all, or they're borrowing money to do capital projects. And of course, large capital projects, in most cases, they'll need some financing, but
It's always prudent, and it's just like your budget at home, it's always prudent to set some money aside for things that are capital. Capital can also be equipment that you're purchasing, police cars, public works vehicles, snow plows. So when we talk about capital things, those are things that are included as well, any type of equipment that you buy and vehicles that you buy. And those things come around very quickly. Police departments usually, what do you get, 3 years out of your police cars a lot of times? I mean, they're those sort of things. And even public works vehicles are replaced, to be replaced from time to time. So, yeah, that's generally a good idea, just like I'm saying, to have money set aside if your budget allows for that. So, again, I'm going to belabor that point too much, but I want to show you a couple of exhibits for the board to look at. So, let's take a quick peek at Exhibit C. Okay, that's your balance sheet for your governmental funds. Okay, your governmental funds are your general fund, the capital project / improvement fund that I'm telling you about, and then you have a few non-major governmental funds. So at the end of the 2024 year, you ended with about 1.6 million in fund balance in the general fund. You ended with about 1.1 million in the capital project fund, and then just about $3,600 in the other fund. And it probably is liquid fuels, and it could be a couple other small ones. So that's where you landed with your fund balance. If you look a couple more pages back on page 5, maybe it's 4. It's actually 4, I'm sorry. This is the real general report that shows the receipts, disbursements, and where you ended the year, just for the one fiscal year. So if you're looking at general fund, I said you had a loss. In other words, you had to pull a little bit from the prior year fund balance. It's because you transferred that $393,000. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see that coming out of the general fund column, and you'll see it going into the capital project fund column. For your capital project funds, you had money going in. You got some grant monies that accounted for your revenues in the capital project fund, and then you spent about $1.3 million on various capital type expenditures. So you ended the year with about $25,000 less in fund balance in the capital project fund. And then again, your non-major funds are not a real big piece of the pie. The next page, page 5, is your budget to actual for your general fund. Okay, so what that shows you is what you anticipated happening for the year, what you budgeted for when you started the year, and then the actual, of course, is what you ended the year with. So you budgeted for a zero balance. You budgeted for revenues equaling expenses, and you ended up under by $228,000. But that $393 was transferred again. You could see that coming into play as well. Okay, so you did reduce your fund balance a little bit. A portion of that was transferred over to the capital project fund. The next couple pages are your sewer fund and your garbage. Those show where you landed with those. That would be Exhibit F and Exhibit G. If you do look at Exhibit G down towards the bottom, you'll notice both funds, both the sewer fund and the garbage fund, had a profit for the 24 year. Sewer fund had a profit of about $41,000, and the garbage fund at about $18,000. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? Okay, the only other thing I want to tell you about is what's in the back of the audit report. The very back of the audit report are schedules. We always give you more detailed schedules for the general
Sorry,
fund.
before you go to that page.
Yeah, absolutely.
On page 17,
Uh-huh,
just to notate in regards to your cash deposits,
uh-huh,
and this is something Mark and I always twist arms and or have an arm wrestle.
yeah,
You have a statement on here that the threshold of FDIC coverage is $250,000.
correct,
However, based on it being a municipality, there's additional coverages that are required by a bank to hold money.
right.
Is that notated anywhere in your report? I'm not seeing it.
Yes.
Oh, right below.
So, under custodial
Yeah.
credit risk,
Sorry, my fault, I missed
you
it.
see it?
Yes, we're good, thank
Yep,
you.
and that's for all governmental units.
Yeah.
That would be school districts, anything, any entity that's a governmental unit is banks are required to. In other words, a bank can't fail when you lose your money. The whole world would fall apart. So they can't have that, so. It's kind of an odd thing that's stated in the audit report. We were required to word it that way But it makes people a little nervous because in normal circumstances, you and I, if we have our deposits in a bank, it's only covered up to $250,000. Each account is only covered up to that much. We're still required to put that in there, but for you, and then again, any other governmental unit, you really have full coverage, I'll say, any deposits you have in any bank. That's
I'm sorry,
FDIC.
I forgot to mention, I work for the bank.
Did you? So you know all that good stuff then.
I missed that statement, I wouldn't have said anything.
Oh, that's okay, that's okay. It's good for other people to understand it. Anyway, those schedules I'm talking about in the back, all that is it's a budget to actual, again, for the general fund, but it's every line item that you budget for. There's a revenue schedule, it's Schedule 1. So what they showed is, what we showed here is a budget, an actual, and a prior year number. Okay, so if you wanted to look a little closer at every line item that you budget in revenues, and then every line item that you budget for expenditures, these are the two schedules that you would want to look at. It's a little bit more, obviously informative than when you can look at every line item. And this is just general fund numbers. Any other questions for me?
Anybody else have any questions for Kim? As always, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. If you have anything that comes up, Joe has my contact information.
I will say that working for Brentwood Bank, we work with the Turnley office with quite a few of the municipalities, and we've always received raving reviews over from the other municipalities.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Have a great night. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, go to the rest of the borough business. See, a motion to accept the 2024 Borough Audit Report. Motion. Jason and Jason, any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to approve the April 2014-25 regular meeting minutes as submitted. So moved. Second. Bruce and Shane, any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to approve the May 2025 bill list. So moved. Second. Bruce and Jason, any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to approve the May 16th, 23rd, 30th, June 6th payrolls.
I'll make a motion.
Justine and Jason, any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to issue a conditional offer of appointment to Gary James, appointing him as Chief of Police, pending the successful completion of physical and psychological examinations and passing a background investigation if applicable. So Bill? Second. And Bruce. And all questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. High expectations there, Chief James, but we know you can do it.
Is there white
I'm
smoke?
gonna get the best every day.
No white smoke.
No white smoke?
Won't bring the fire department. A motion to authorize the disbursement of $25,961.16 from the sewer fund to Edge AI Solutions for partial payment. Number 2, final of the 2024 sanitary sewer O&M CCTV program. Shane and Jason, any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to approve the Shabala Corner plan of lots, a subdivision of 1 Ewing Avenue and 340 Presley Road that reverses the 2024 lot consolidation of these properties as recommended by Bridgeville Planning Commission, Borough Engineer, and pending any comments received from Allegheny County Department of Economic Development. So Bruce? Second. And Jason, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to authorize Jet Jack Inc. to convert a sanitary sewer lamp hole to a manhole to address roadway sinkage at the intersection of Lurie Street and Chest Street at a cost not to exceed $11,600. So Bruce? Second. and Jason, or Justine. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to authorize the execution of change order number 1 for the Gregg Avenue Stairs project that increases the contract time to complete project by 120 calendar days due to inclement weather and unsafe working conditions. There is no change in the contract costs. So Bruce?
I'll second.
And Bill.
Question.
Question?
Joe Cower, so the 120 days pushed, is that gonna put us into the fall then? Is that
No, I think they're still saying to be done by June.
inclement weather in February and Christmas? So I just, there's zero change. The dollars, it's
That sub-zero weather in January, they were all ready to start.
a record amount of snowfall.
It's moving well.
Yeah, it looks good. No, it looks good. I just didn't know if that was gonna be pushing. If we push later fall, we'll be running into another.
Any more questions?
That's it, thank you, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to accept and pay any commission due. April 2025 real estate tax collector report.
Make a motion.
Justine and Bruce, any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to acknowledge receipt of the April 2025 treasurer's report. Bruce and Jason, any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to accept all submitted April 2025 official reports. So moved. Bill and Shane. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Administration, Bruce. Okay. Finance, for myself, we've completed a few different grants with the hopes of getting some of the additional things done. Unfortunately, we have received official communication from FEMA that our McLaughlin Run flood control project has been canceled. However, we had some communications with Senator McCormick, and Sederman. I didn't know that Senator Fetterman and Congressman Lee's staff, that they have been doing some additional communications with FEMA, and we got a lot of good exposure to it. We're hoping that things are going to be reconsidered, but right now we do not have any updates. And other than that, Joe, do you have any other comments other than that?
I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to call their elected officials. I think it's played a pivotal role in that positive momentum to have FEMA consider reversing that decision.
It wasn't me throwing the book down.
The optics of that really, but
I wasn't mad.
I think we feel the same, and it was nice to get the word out throughout the Commonwealth, on all the local TV stations, all the print media. I had family that saw CBS News picked it up down in Florida, so I think we became the poster child for the cut of that RIC program, which was good because this isn't the cliched solar panels on a playground. This is a flood control project that will save lives, property, and has a very proven return on your investment. So it's a wise use of federal funding, and I'm really appreciative for everyone stepping up and calling and taking it personally, which I think a lot of our community did. So we were very successful getting the ears of Senator McCormick, Senator Fetterman's staff, and we're optimistic that it can be reconsidered. We know that their offices have met with FEMA administrators, and it made its way all the way to the top of the flagpole there. And they have been talking about the Bridgeville project in Washington, and they said that hopefully to check back in a couple weeks, so that's what we're going to do. And sometimes I'm not the most optimistic person in the room, but here I'm cautiously hopeful and optimistic that the stars will realign for us.
So we'll get our money back in a couple weeks.
I'm hoping to get the train back on track.
It's a shame because we were pretty darn close to starting.
Yes, it's a kick because the easements are done and the permits are done. So like the big hurdles that we thought were going to be DEP and Army Corps permits, John did a heck of a job, we got that done. You know,
Well, the worst part though is the $200,000 we have spent. It was required by that grant and we're
To
not.
get to here, yeah.
To get to there and it just gets canceled. And that's $200,000 of taxpayer money.
Yes, but we won't let that go to waste. We will not let this project die. This is a block in the road and we'll find a way.
I just wanted to, I think all of the members of council, the mayor would say this, like, thank our fine borough manager for his patience and perseverance through this, and I think he represented the borough really well on a lot of the news media, and maybe, you know, maybe a second job someday you might have. But Joe, you were really fantastic, I know we all.
So it's connection.
Questions?
Yes, ma'am.
How long are those permits good for?
Some of them are 5 years. Yes.
Some are
And we can extend.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Any chance about that 200,000, any chance that we could get it back? I mean,
There's talk,
yeah,
but no
I
one's
don't think
committing
we
to
want
it.
it back.
No, we want
We
the
want the
whole
grant
thing, we want the whole thing.
right, but if they come back and say, not a lot. Okay.
Hopefully, we come back next month. I think if we went from anywhere from last month to this month, we were hoping for two things. The attention of the legislators and getting the word out there. So for a month, I consider that a success. Now, let's hope that this momentum builds and we come back next month with some good news to report.
Any other questions?
Very positive spin by him.
Yeah.
I like this glass half full, Joe.
Any questions for finance? Shane, Parks and Rec.
Nothing to report this. I've got a basement. No, I promise I didn't want to steal Mr. Strazdnik's thunder.
You do every
Works.
Public Works.
Well, here's what we've done so far in the parks. Grass cutting underway at the parks and public right of ways. We started street sweeping underway, third full week of each month. And of course, we cleaned up through the massive thunderstorm and high winds on April 29th. The water and sewage is on at the parks. And we're continuing to do maintenance around the parks and also around filling potholes, repairing streets and cleaning culverts, trash racks, and catch basins. That's it.
Any questions for Jason? Before we have Bill speak, I'd like to say for public safety, especially with Bill, we have gone through a very good process. We're selecting our chief, and with your leadership, Bill, I greatly appreciate everything that you did to put it together, as well as our other members. I'm sorry, I forget who else is on safety. Duty? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
But Bill, your leadership with that really made a difference, so thank you. And with that, Bill, do you have anything to say?
I was gonna mention the conclave that we had, and White Smoke, so, Gary, congratulations. Turns out we didn't have to look too far to find our next leader here, so we appreciate it. Looking forward to your leadership here. The only other thing I had, the bump outs on Bank Street, you're starting to see those, depending on which social media you read. Some like the yellow curve, some don't like the yellow curve, but we're getting there. We're gonna add some more pedestrian signage to identify those particular bump outs. And the only question I have, what's going in, I'm getting a lot of questions, what's going inside of the landscaping area?
That's been an agenda item of planning commission. It's kind of, we've been piggybacking the whole butterfly garden conversation. So it has yet to be selected, but essentially, it's just something, no trees. It was low growth, something that's drought resistant, can take the high heat without much money.
Hopefully you'll have something before Memorial Day.
But we weren't gonna do any trees. It's the planning commission's discussion.
We're gonna put a big oak tree there.
There's a lot of questions being asked, so I'm trying to get an answer I can share. But appreciate it, it looks nice. I think it's to serve as traffic calming for those that don't know, and I think it's starting to serve its purpose up there. So, that's all I have.
Any questions for Bill? Shar West Cog, Jason.
I was out of town, so Councilman Rancho graciously took my.
It's over here, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, the COG did make its way. Joe Cower was mentioned by me, thanking you for pushing forward everything you're doing with the FEMA grant. There were a couple jokes made of you by me, but that's okay, we're friends. No, but we just want to get the word out to the other municipalities, and Carnegie obviously was watching the rains as well, you know, when we had that last event, and they know how close we were to another flood issue, so, you know, the screams would have been even louder. But then, other than that, Carnegie was getting ready to host a 5K. Councilman Ferry's mentioned doing something like that, maybe with the library, so I'd like to follow up with you and see how that went, you know, pros and cons of it, you know, lessons learned.
Yeah, we're investigating that currently,
Aaron,
as
see that?
a means of additional revenue and a nice event for the borough.
That's good.
Any questions for Shane or Jason about the COG? Mayor Copeland.
On May 3rd, our now Chief of Police was then Sergeant James was asked to speak for a round table that Christine Trout from South Fayette organized. She brought together all people who had lost relatives to fentanyl, and police chief from South Fayette also spoke, but our Sergeant James really spoke from his heart and touched the people's hearts when he spoke of losing his own niece to the addiction. We were very proud of his being able to explain our Narcan and all that goes into trying to save our residents when they are addicted to drugs. I just found here this evening a letter from Mary Lynn Spazak. She has been a great admirer of our McLaughlin Park. She and her daughter take their dogs there, they love it. And she has written an article in the Upper St. Clair magazine. The letter says, "Congratulations, Honorable Mayor Betty Copeland. Thank you for allowing me to feature our good neighbor, Bridgeville, in the 2025 Community Day issue of the official magazine, Upper St. Clair. I truly enjoy researching your community. Of course, my favorite part is McLaughlin Run, where I have met many Bridgeville residents, your children and others from as far away as Scotland. My daughter's pup, Chloe, Dawn Diva, runs and jumps and plays almost every day and knows every niche and corner of McLaughlin Run Road. So thank you for your dedication. Take care, stay safe. Happy New Year. Mary Lynn Spazak." And for transparency, Marshall Packard sent me 3 Tuskegee Airmen quarters, and this time he sent it through the garbage bill. So thank you, Kim.
I'd like to see those later. I teach history.
Oh, I thought you were auditing them or
Well,
something.
Looking forward to seeing everybody at Memorial Day Parade, May 26th. Thank you.
Yeah, big article in the St. Clair magazine, and you're lucky, Mayor, we don't fine you for every time you have a picture, because you'd be broke. So, all right, any questions for the mayor? Police Department, Chief James.
You have my monthly report for the month of April. I can answer any questions that you have. Secondly, we had an incident over the weekend where a family, or some kids were down in McLaughlin Park, and as they were exiting the park, they were approached by a mother coyote with her pup. The coyote, being a mother of any wild animal, began hissing at them and moving towards them. They did the right thing. They slowly backed away and left. They did call the police. Our officers responded. They found the pup, but not the mother. So they didn't do anything to the animals. But I did speak to the Game Commission. We discussed the behavior and what was going on. At this time of the year, that is something that is fairly normal. In springtime, you have your fawns being born, your pups being born. There's nothing out of the ordinary about that, or even in the location they're in. And we also have a couple foxes running around in that neighborhood too. So, lastly, I'd like to thank you all. It's a great honor to be able to represent this community as the next chief of police. And it means a lot to me, and I certainly won't let anybody down.
Thank you, Chief. Thanks, Chief. Thanks. Any questions? Solicitor McDermott?
You have my regulatory, I don't have any.
Any questions for the solicitor? Borough Engineer fill-in Larry Lennon Jr.
Okay, handed out John's report, only two things really to update. The roadway program pre-construction meeting, he's scheduling that for this month, so he's gonna have that. And then under the sewer O&M repairs, that work's been completed. That's all I have.
Any questions for Larry? Okay, welcome as a visitor, or as a fill-in. Fire Chief is not here. Southbridge, Dan?
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Bridgeville Historical Society.
Hi, the History Center's doing real well. I'm happy to say that we still have Mary Wise as our president, but I am sad to say we did lose a board member, Dick Atando. He has been passed to be with the Lord. We had our bake sale last week, and it was fabulous. It was the most money fundraising that we've made in a bake sale. We have got a lot of people that make a lot of goodies. We also have corporate help. We have Portman's, PJ's. So it was a very good success. We'll have another bake sale in the fall, so we do 2 of them. Right now, we're working on Day on the Avenue. We're going to have a basket. We're going to have some fun things going on. And we're working on our calendar for next year. So our program will be the day after Memorial Day. Come and see our sign. There's details. I apologize, I don't have any programs because I just got back from Erie. I spend the summers in Erie, but I want to make sure I come to the meetings. But yeah, look at our sign. We've got some good programs, May and June, and then we take the summer off, start our programs again in September.
Any questions for Lisa? Okay, thank you. Bridgeville Library, Aaron?
You have my report, and then our summer program kicks off on Friday, June 6th with a shark party for the kids. And registration for all the summer programs opens the day after Memorial Day, which is May 27th. And RAD, the Regional Asset District, they are bringing back the summer vacation passes, which if you go to radpass.org and use your library card, you can get free or discounted passes to all different local attractions, like the zoo, the aviary, and the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. So it's definitely worth checking out.
Aaron, do you know how long the logo contest art exhibits are up?
They'll be up all month.
Okay. Yeah, public, if you haven't seen, there's a logo contest for Bridgeville's 125th anniversary. And there were, I believe, 14. They were wonderful.
Yes.
And they picked a winner in second place. If you haven't seen them, it's well worth going down the library to check out.
Any other questions for the library?
I do have a question here. I did see on Facebook today that you're offering internships for students.
It's a teen volunteer program. It actually ended today.
Oh,
the-
okay.
The
All right.
process, yeah.
Did you get any applicants?
We did. We filled up all of our spots.
Good.
Yeah.
Anything else? Bridgeville Parking Authority, Deb?
Okay, the parking authority will meet next Monday here in the council chambers at 5 o'clock. The remaining 2 lights that are needed in Lot 1 are going to be ordered and installed this year. The landscaping in lots will continue in May. We started that. We started some asphalt patching in Lot 2. That'll be completed in May. And other lots will be monitored and completed when allowable and necessary. We're actually looking to see if we can find a grant to help us resurface or re-asphalt that lot too, because it is pretty bad, but it's lots of money. So if anybody has any connections with grants, give us a holler. The 3 5-minute parking spots in lot 2 are completed and they're being used as we requested so far. The movement of the handicap space is also completed as well, and it has been used by people with handicap plates and placards. The BVPA board approved the increase of a handicap parking violation to $50, was up from the previous $20 ticket, and we're currently searching for an applicant for the open parking enforcement position. This open position has been posted on the borough website, and one other thing, the Public Works, and we appreciate, they're starting to hang the military banners in time for the Memorial Day Parade. I believe they started that today. And last but certainly not least, the Bridgeville Parking Authority continues to operate in the park.
Yeah, just one question on that. I won't be there on Monday, next Monday, so I wanted to ask. As far as the resurfacing, I know it's a pretty big expense. Is there any other alternatives or thoughts on what the progression will be? Because yeah, like you said, it is getting bad. Have you had any thoughts other than a grant?
Keep hoping to find people, I guess. I don't know. It's just, you know, our operating budget comes out of permits, and they've been up, and ticketing, but if everybody pays like they're supposed to, we don't ticket. So that revenue is dried up. I mean, I don't know if we can do a bond. I mean, those are things we have to investigate. But, you know, I've been told that our state reps can help us, and senators, so hopefully they will.
Thank you. Any other questions for Deb? Okay, thank you. Planning Commission, Dale. See, I remember this.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Planning Commission, last month we discussed the downtown zoning district update with Mackin. Mandy was present and provided some details regarding the charrette, and there weren't any real surprises there. A lot of what community was thinking was, community suggested. The feedback they provided was very much along the lines of what the planning commission's been looking at and thinking about. So we had some good discussion. We reviewed the Chibala corner lot revision. We worked on reviewing the active transportation list and some of the projects there. And regarding birthday, the cleanup that we had back in April, we had 13 citizens partake in that process, working around the village, the borough, and the parks. And last but not least, as part of the comp plan project, we're doing the pollinator garden project. That's going to be done this Saturday. The planting is going to be done on Saturday at 10 a.m. 517 down on Baldwin Street. And the rain date is Sunday, 5/18.
Any questions for Dale? Okay. Borough Manager, Joe Carr.
I think pretty much we went over everything. My written report's there. If I missed anything, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Joe? Any new business? Second. I have a second. Second. And we will adjourn.